Sure, while there may be some value to a quick 10-second quad stretch before you head out the door for a run, or if you move your body through a stretchy range of motion after a workout, that may feel beneficial. And while grinding your IT band up and down the foam roller may have some sadistically pleasurable qualities to it, none of that is making meaningful change to your fascial system, like at all. Similar to how traditional massage therapy or physical therapy can offer you some benefit, remember, if fascial restrictions are at the root of your issues, hot stones or strengthening exercises are not going to release those fascial ties that bind. Whether you're seeing a myofascial release practitioner or practicing myofascial self-care, addressing the fascial system has some necessary key components. These fascial principles must be applied in order to elicit a true fascial release. And if you stick around, you'll see what I mean when we get down onto the mat. My name is Rainey Allen. I'm the owner of StillPoint Myofascial Release here just outside of Portland, Maine, and I guide you through the process of navigating physical pain, mental angst and fatigue, or spiritual stagnation by way of the fascial system. Understanding the importance of fascial health is an eye-opening education that will give you some powerful tools to soothe what ails you so that you're better able to lean on your body's wisdom as you journey through this modern world and feel better doing so. In this video, we're going to highlight some of the differences between traditional stretching and foam rolling versus intentionally using the roller or ball to engage the fascial system. How are we going to do that? In this example, we're going to get down on the mat and we're going to use the legs, the IT band and the quads specifically. And yes, while we are going to start off with that kind of grit your teeth sort of perverse pleasure of way too much sensation through the IT band, but stick around because there is another way, a friendlier way, a more effective way called engaging the fascial system. So if you'd like to follow along, grab a foam roller and a ball and meet me on the mat. Rolling out the IT bands up the lateral portion of the thigh or rolling out the quads up the front of the thigh, they are two very commonly thought of areas when using a foam roller. It might look something like this. To use the roller for the IT band, this is one of those techniques that's kind of like grit your teeth and bear it. It looks a little something like this. So I'm on my side body here. I've got the lateral portion of the thigh, like right, not the front, not the back, but right up the outside of that thigh. I have that available to be in contact with the roller. By being more on my side body, this lateral portion of the thigh is available to me to roll up and down that roller. I'm using this leg for support. You can see that I'm pretty active here through the upper body, up on the elbow. And because I'm so active here, like meaning because the upper body is so engaged and I'm using this leg for support, I have a fair amount of mobility that I can use, meaning I can use this leg and I can use this arm to help propel me up and down on the roller here. And because it hurts like I'm also using this leg and this arm to kind of take some of my body weight off of that roller because it freaking hurts. Like I'm gritting my teeth. And if I weren't on video, I wouldn't be saying frickin' either. It hurts, right? So moving up and down, woo, it really does not do anything to encourage the body to like soften and release. And so I want to show you a different way. And so we're going to stay on the side body here. And in this example, we're going to use a ball. Coming at it from a fascial perspective, again, I'm staying on the side body. Here is a really good tip, especially if you deal with tight IT bands. Using the ball down by the knee, that lateral aspect of the leg, just above the knee on the outside of that thigh. That is the friendliest way to get into your IT band. And so you can move that ball, right, to help you explore. We've already explored a little bit with the roller. Again, getting down here, in our example, getting down here by the knee is the easiest way to deal with a tight IT band, because the nature of the fascial system, if you make some room and you create some release, and your body actually is in agreement that it can handle this pressure down here without you gritting your teeth, without that leg screaming at you even more, all of those things are going to create so much more benefit. So you find a place where your body is like, cool, I can do this. I've never tried to roll out my IT band in a way that actually feels doable without wanting to drop a bunch of F-bombs and grit your teeth all the way through it. Then you'll have to work on releasing your jaw. And if this were too much, you could just take that top leg off, right? So you have less body weight to work with. I've decided that after a little bit of exploration, a little bit of movement through those legs, I've determined, I'm starting to wince again because the ball's getting in there a little bit deeper, but I've found a place where I can begin to relax into. And I will say this, the sensation, especially of fascial release, it comes in waves. You might have some points where you feel like, I can totally handle this. The system starts to relax and release a little bit. The ball goes in deeper. And suddenly you're like, ooh, man, another layer of restriction that you kind of need to wrap your mind around to work with. So hanging out in one spot here for 3, 4, 5 minutes is going to be key, right? Less moving up and down. That movement up and down can be beneficial for you to find the place where you want to be, where you find that spot, that area of restriction that feels manageable, that feels important, that feels like it's going to have some benefit and would really appreciate your attention. The movement up and down, like we did in the beginning, this movement helps you find where it is that you want to be. Once you stay there, it's that 3, 4, 5 minutes of sustained pressure that's going to make the effective change into the fascial system. And taking a deep breath here, allowing yourself to begin to come off of that ball. I'm going to gently start to disengage here and lift that leg up so I can bring it off of the ball. Whew, feeling the difference from one side to the other already. And just to even things out, we're going to do another example on the other leg with the quads. So I'm just going to take a moment here and notice that I definitely feel some lightness. I feel that this area on this leg has been worked. I feel a little blood flow moving, some warmth. It has an aliveness to it. And we're going to see if we can do that on the other leg with the quad. So how we're going to do that on this side, again, we're going to start with the roller as our traditional foam rolling example, and we're going to get into the quad with the ball. So being active here in the technique with these traditional foam rolling techniques, like that is really key, being active. You need that movement available to you. And in order for that movement to be available to you, you need to be able to leverage your movement, move through the torso, move through the body. And so you need these points of contact on the ground to be able to propel yourself forward and back. So here in this example, I've got my elbows nice and rooted into the mat. I'm actually engaged through the core So I can lift up through the belly and the torso, kind of like squeezing the glutes a little bit, just so I have some mobility to move myself up and down on the roller. Because if I were collapsed, it would look like this, and I wouldn't really be able to move. So these more traditional foam rolling movements are actually quite lively, right? And so here, you can have both quads on the roller. And even though I have both quads on the roller, if I leaned a little towards one side, here I'm leaning over to the left, my right is kind of along for the ride. I suddenly, with that shift in body weight, have more pressure going right into that left side. And if I were to do it on the opposite side, now I have more pressure going into the right. It's just a small distribution of change in your body weight. So now I'm leaning on that right side, really riding up and down on that quad. And I'm really actually trying not to pay attention because it hurts. It's sore. And I've noticed that I'm a little guarded. I'm bracing against that pressure. And so just pay attention to that in yourself as well. When you roll up and down in these more traditional ways, you might find that you brace against it. I actually am finding, and I'm doing this a little bit on autopilot, I'm finding that I'm like squeezing my quads against the pressure. And so worthy to ask yourself, how am I going to get that tissue to release if I'm actually contracting and engaging the muscle, right? So coming off the roller here, I'm going to put that out of the way, coming back down onto the belly, and I'm going to use one ball. And so from where I have determined, I will say this, I'll give credit where credit is due. I do feel that aliveness through the muscle and through those quads, but it almost feels a little chaotic, like bzz, it's buzzy. It's a buzzy feeling. And so with that ball on the quad, I have an idea of where that leg may want me to stay and hang out, just because I felt it rolling up and down the roller. But again, you can stay active here, so you have some movement available to you, so you can move yourself on the ball to find that spot that your body is like, you know what, you just really need to stay there and hang out. Ooh, I found a good one. Not the spot I thought I was originally going to stay. I thought I was going to go down by the knee. Down by the knee is always a favorite of mine, but here we go. We found something a little bit more intense. It's going to take me a moment to like really be able to settle in and digest all of this sensation. It's a good spot. And I am a little bit more active here through the upper body just because I'm allowing my system to, yeah, there we go, settle in to the sensation that I'm offering it. And after rolling up and down on the roller like that and coming into a more fascial mindset and beginning to allow myself to really settle in here, the body does something totally different. There's not this kind of grit and grind mentality. It's more of a connect, honor. And honor might be a little cheese ball for you. I understand that. But when you experience the depths of the goodness that the fascial system has to offer you, maybe honor isn't so cheese ball as it might sound like on the surface. Trust may be another good word. Acceptance of the pressure. I was definitely not accepting the pressure on the foam roller. without question, I was not accepting that. I was going with it, but it was kind of like I was taking the beating. There's an acceptance of the pressure. And I feel like in that acceptance, the release is right there. It's right behind it. There's a warmth here. Using the roller was more fast-paced kind of vibration. This is more, it's just more gentle. And gentle isn't wimpy, right? Can we just agree on that? Gentle is not wimpy. Just because you're not frenetically causing yourself an enormous amount of sensation and you're approaching things more slow and steady with a pressure that you can digest and manage and work through, there is nothing wimpy about a release. Nothing. Fascial release is for the bold and courageous and for those who are willing to explore their body in a way that gives them an enormous amount to feel. So when I say gentle, this way may be more gentle, but it is not wimpy. It's not for the faint of heart. And I guarantee you it will yield greater results than moving up and down at a quick pace on the roller. So when you're ready, you can start to become a little more active again, coming up on those elbows, maybe lifting up through that waist, that torso, so you have some movement available to you. And you can just schmooze it out, right? Just up and down on that ball one more time, just to notice how it might be a little bit more tolerable. After a nice release, after you give yourself 3, 4, 5 minutes of that sustained pressure in the area, when you gently, there's that word again, when you move yourself up and down on that ball, it gives a sense of just completing it, giving it a nice sense of completion. And so anytime that we work from one side of the body to the other, even though this was just for comparison's sake and a little tutorial, it's still really good practice to make sure that you're leaving your hips kind of balanced out. And so how we're going to do that is come onto the back. We don't need any tools here, coming onto the back. And with your heels and your feet on the mat, your knees bent, just giving yourself a nice little squeeze through those glutes, lifting up through the hips. So if you just give yourself a pelvic tilt, squeezing those hips, squeezing those glutes, engaging those legs for a moment, just to bring yourself back to neutral. And so again, anytime that you work from side to side, it's always good practice to come back to neutral to make sure that your pelvis is nice and stable. So if after those contrasting examples of traditional foam rolling to fascial engagement has your curiosity piqued and you're thinking, I could really benefit from some guided fascial exploration and fascial engagement, be sure to check out those links in the description below. And if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be notified of any future videos, and be sure to ask yourself, what have you done for your fascia lately? I'll see you again soon. Take good care.